私は右だろうが左だろうが暴力に反対したことなんか一度もない。
How's it going, my fellow Soapland connoisseurs? It's your God King, the one, the only pixel motherfrickin' hipster. Yep, this is how I thought I would be spending my 20s, recording video essays in a dark room. In today's video, your boy's going to do something a little bit different. In today's video, I'm going to be responding to the works of Yukio Mishima and explain key highlights of his infamous life story. Now, you're probably wondering, who the frick is Yukio Mishima? Well, in short, Yukio Mishima, born Kimitake Hirooka, that is the authentic Japanese pronunciation of those names. Yukio Mishima ostensibly was a Japanese author, poet, playwright, actor, model, Shintoist, nationalist, fascist, and founder of the Tatenokai, an unarmed civilian militia. You guys can't see it, but in the script I wrote unarmed in quotes, because they were very armed. Mishima is considered one of the most important Japanese authors of the 20th century, if not the most influential Japanese author of the 20th century. And trust me, it's not for any of the good reasons. His height was 163 centimeters. Manlet. I'm just gonna leave that one there. Just leave that one for a little bit to sink in. This will be important later, trust me. Ostensibly, the way I explained Yukio Mishima to my mates is he's basically the Japanese Andrew Tate of the 1960s. In summary, the goal of this video is to cover the life of Yukio Mishima and highlight key points of his infamous life and his ideology. Furthermore, I am looking to explain in painstaking detail how someone with such room temperature IQ gained so much infamy. How the hell did someone go from a well-spoken, calm, highly respected intellectual author on track to winning a Nobel Prize to a nationalist soy boy beta cuck who kidnapped an army general and attempted to overthrow the Japanese government? Can you guys hear the birds in the background, or am I just having a stroke right now? Obviously, going forwards, the usual disclaimers in regards to this one. Going forward, this video will have discussions of fascist ideology and all other assortment of cringe associated with that particular topic. If you're going to leave any comments, please watch the video in full. I know my videos can be very long and very boring. At this point, I don't even know why I bother acting in good faith. I feel like I've intellectually outpaced the comment section at this point. Part 1. The sad anime backstory. We're gonna get some violins out here, and we're gonna get like Mishima sitting on a chair, being all sad. Naruto, the saddest anime. Mishima was a man who was never properly raised by his immediate family. He was taken in by his very prestigious grandmother at a very young age. Due to the poor health of himself and his grandmother, he was forced to spend the majority of his childhood in his room. Due to this fact, he was quite isolated and alone and spent most of his time reading books. This being a catalyst for his later career pursuit of being a world-famous writer. In terms of schooling, Mishima went to the Gakushuen, a very prestigious Japanese school originally established to educate the children of Japanese nobility. He started as a very average student, but towards the end of his education, he excelled, even being recognized by the emperor himself, getting gifted a gold watch for his academic excellence. At the end of World War II, Mishima was 16 years old. While a young man, much like many within the Japanese fascist army, Mishima fetishized the idea of dying a glorious death in battle. He wrote a melancholic poem about dying in an explosion.
The air raids were becoming more frequent. I was uncommonly afraid of them. And yet at the same time, I somehow looked forward to death impatiently with a sweet expectation. I thought that if by any chance I should attain glorious death in battle, how ill it would have become me, This would be a truly ironical end for my life, and I could laugh sarcastically at it forever from the grave.
Yo, Mishima's a fucking weird cunt. Oh, I just want to fucking kamikaze so bad. I just want to explode and fucking just kill a whole bunch of people. Lamau. Towards the end of his schooling, along with the rest of his peers, Mishima was forced to work in a factory making planes for the Japanese army. Towards the latter half of World War II, Mishima faked tuberculosis. From my understanding, Mishima viewed this as one of, if not the biggest moral failing of his entire life. Now, we all know how World War II ended. Japan got dabbed on, but yeah, that's the way to. That's the way to describe nuclear warfare, Zach. That's not in poor taste at all. Oh, remember when all those people got bombed to death? Oh yeah, they got dabbed on. I forgot I even wrote that. But regardless, after the war, Mishima, originally having a prestigious job in the Ministry of Finance, he would quit to follow his passion of becoming a writer. In 1949, Mishima will publish his first novel, Confessions of the Mask. And the rest, they say, is cringe. Because he's a fascist. And fascism is not is not poggers. It's here on the Pixel Hipster channel, we do nothing but hardcore fucking hot takes. Fascism isn't pog champ. Part 2. What even is a Yukio Mishima? Ironically, while politically speaking, Mishima was firmly against Western beliefs, especially that of American ideology creeping into Japanese society, Mishima had a reverence and love for many Western things, especially that of Greece. His home had a very distinct Western architectural design. His books, even to this day, have a massive popularity in the West. Mishima went to great efforts to get his books translated correctly into English. All this was done in the hope that he would receive reverence and respect from his Western audience. From watching his interviews and reading his works, it's very difficult to pin down exactly what he believed in. I mean, I can get a general idea of his beliefs, the usual degenerate fascist memes, you know, but I find a lot of his writing to be oxymoronic. To an extent, I think Mishima also knew this about himself. He was very introspective within his works, but I also like to highlight the fact that Mishima was an adherent racist, specifically against crackers, white people. Mishima fantasized about massacring Zoomers, especially that of white Western descent. He was once quoted in saying that he actively fantasizes about cannibalizing their young bodies.
He dreamt of bloodshed. He dreamt of massacring youths, preferably Circassian, i.e. white youths on large marble tables, and eating parts of their bodies. And these obsessions go all the way through his life. I remember once kneeling in front of him while he demonstrated, for the benefit of a visiting television journalist, how you cut off someone's head in a classical harakiri. I suddenly had a terrible tingling at the back of my neck, regretted what I was doing. You could feel the force of his imagination.
Moshi, hello, base department? Ah, I see, Mishima, a fellow Mayo-side enthusiast, yeah, based. And they say the left-wingers are abhorrent anti-white racists. I see the right-wing people can also indulge in some based activity. Oh, alrighty. Beep, 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 beep. Who the fuck is texting me? Fuck off. Oh, some fucking slag on Tinder. Can you just fucking get the fuck out of here? I've got YouTube videos to make, you fucking whore. Pixel Hoops. Someone clip that out of context and call me a misogynist. Part 3. Sigma Male Grindset. A recurring theme of Mishima's many works is the idea of elegance involved within masculine and feminine archetypes. After winning numerous awards for his early narrative romance-driven fictional novels, Mishima occurred a decent amount of success and capital. Using his newfound disposable income, he traveled the world partaking in many different cultures. But it wasn't until Mishima reached Greece did the foundation of his worldview change drastically. He was marveled by the Greek statues of old. This was the catalyst that led to Mishima's drastic reinvention, not only as a writer but as a person. Inspired by the beauty held within the masculine marble statues, Mishima was inspired to follow in the traditions of the past and make himself as physically beautiful as possible. To obtain the physique of a Greek statue such as Michelangelo, as Mishima eloquently put it, he wanted to make a poem of his body, rejuvenated in the sunlight and hardened the flesh as if it was to be steel. He wanted to be the Giga Chad
I know how to despise mere cool intelligence. What I want is intelligence matched by pure physical existence, like a statue. And for this, I need the sun. I need to leave my dark cave-like study.
He wanted to become a Giga Chad Sigma male and become as swole as Adam Driver. Mishima truly resented and at some point was repulsed at the idea that his newfound masculinity and physical beauty was something that would fade with time. He's a man who wanted to die in his prime to be remembered for his masculine physical strength and writing prowess. Furthermore, Mishima likes to always bring up the idea of elegance of traditional Japanese masculinity. It's a reoccurring prevalent theme throughout many of his works, whether that be in interviews, his writings, or his lifestyle in general.
Spiritually, I wanted to revive some samurai spirits through it, because I don't want to revive harakiri itself, but through the vision of such a very strong vision of harakiri, I wanted to inspire and stimulate younger people, and through such a stimulation, I wanted to revive some old traditional sense of honor or sense of very strong responsibility and such a sense of death in honor.
Mishima, first of all, this is absolute cap. I'm going to press X to doubt on this. I think this idea of Japanese elegance in brutality is blatantly bullshit, especially the false dichotomy he presents of Nazi brutality versus imperial Japanese brutality. A war crime is a war crime. It doesn't matter if you kill someone with a gun or a katana. Fundamentally, don't get me wrong, there are delineations between the Western concept of suicide and, say, seppuku. In more explicit detail, juxtaposing this to his earlier works where Mishima was more vague with his fictional style of storytelling, an abundant amount of metaphors and simplistic meanings throughout his novels. Some of his later works involve non-fictional styles of writing with less areas open to interpretation. My favorite book of his is Sun and Steel. While confusing at many points, it does highlight and give me insight into many areas of his ideology. It's a book that delves into the philosophy behind working out and bettering yourself in martial arts. To be honest, it's about a lot of things, but to me personally, those are my two big takeaways. Within Sun and Steel, Mishima also touches upon his newfound political positions in relation to Japan's post-war climate. Let me just set the stage for you. It's the swinging 60s. We've got two sides that I want to use to articulate the general political position of that time. These groups were emblematic of the political turmoil that was occurring during the 1960s. On one side, we got a group of radical far-left extremists known as the Zen Kyoto. These cunts were so left-wing they rejected the traditional Japanese Communist Party. They were vehemently opposed to the Japanese liberal establishment. They would frequently get into fights with police, throwing petrol bombs at them. On the other side, you had a group of far-right fascist extremists known as the Tatenokai, a personal militia of toy soldiers run by, you guessed it, your boy Yukio Mishima. We'll get back to these fuckwits later. The 1960s of Japan was a crazy time, especially 1968 specifically was often referred to as the Seiji no Kisetsu, or the political season in English. Yeah, I know it sounds a lot less cool in English. So ostensibly, this era of Japan was very politically divided. You had two sides, from the moderates on the left and the right to the aforementioned extremists. Everyone had their own bone of contention within that era of Japanese society. The leftists and Zen Kyoto were protesting for a lot of reasons, notable ones being anti-war, affordable tuition, political autonomy, and hoping to bring forward a Marxist revolution. Juxtaposing this to the rightards, the Tatenokai, who were vehemently anti-revolutionary and wanted to go back to Japan's previous imperial fascist form of governance. This was all coming to a head with a whole bunch of new laws and referendums coming around towards the end of the decade. The riots and stuff are something for a whole topic to themselves, so I won't harp on it here too much. The picture I'm trying to paint here is Japanese society in the 1960s were a fucked time, and it was Mishima's perception of the events around him which led him to become more fascistic and nationalistic. It was also the reason Mishima created the Tatenokai militia in itself.
I particularly picked up the student from the university where the conflict or trouble happened. And such a minority of students who cannot be involved into the leftist movement felt very isolated and very separated. And so they believed in some sense, they believed their own Japan and Japanese spirit. But, you know, it was completely denied by the leftists.
Part 5. Shield Pussies. Towards the end of Mishima's life, he created the hilariously incompetent group known as the Tatenokai, or the Shield Society and Disgusting Gaijin. The first thing I would like to call attention about the Tatenokai is their mission statement, which is the preservation of Japanese traditional values and the rejuvenation of reverence for the emperor. If I am permitted to speak candidly here, that is fucking retarded. How brain dead do you need to be to believe that shit? Like, seriously, you want to return the divinity of the emperor? The same dude who renounced his own divinity? Not to mention the same bloke a decade prior who was telling his people to either commit game over or crash a plane into the enemy? Why the fuck would you want that? You're fucking lost. You're lost. The meme's dead. GG, you racist cunts. You fucking lost. I'm not biased, I swear. I have no personal conjecture on this one. This is a very objective video essay on that one there. Alright. For a modern juxtaposition, I would like to definitely make the statement that they were akin to our current era of Groypers and the Proud Boys, cut from the same cloths, fundamentally believing the usual right-wing extremist nonsense. The same old fascist boring memes fascists and conservatives have been saying for decades. Koreans are taking our jobs, we need fascism to come back, I love simping the emperor, I want to lick his toes, a group of single-cell organisms with room temperature IQ. Anyway, I'm fucking sick of boring these cunts. They suck. You know, they just suck. They're just boring. Fucking, dude, go fucking play baseball. Go join another fucking club. You don't need this shit. Why do people keep doing this? Why do people just fucking... Are these people just... So I don't get it. Like, I just don't fucking get it. Like, even with, like, left-wing fucking movements, bro. Get a better fucking hobby. Just spend all your fucking time hanging around. Just the same old fucking wearing your cringy-ass uniforms. Just fuck... Oh, God, you're such a... never mind. Part 5. Yukio Mishima, the Nationalist Queen. The discussion of Mishima's sexuality is something that is highly contested among historians and academics. So with that said, before we get into the following, we need to put forward a few caveats. 1. The evidence in question is circumstantial. Many of the following points may have logical explanations that disprove my opinion. 2. This is entirely my opinion. I do employ everyone to read up for themselves and come to their own conclusions. I will try and play devil's advocate in order to reach some sort of objectivity on that one. With that said, I'm not a sad Jew with a sister fetish, so I can never truly reach objectivity. 3. Whether or not Mishima was gay or bi or whatever the fuck his sexual orientation was, at the end of the day, if I was provided with undoubtable evidence that he was gay, I would not give a shit. He's a terrible human being. I would still give him an elbow to the face, even if it is considered a hate crime. A big piece of evidence that is brought up is Mishima's first book, Confessions of a Mask. Confession of a Mask is touted as a semi-autobiographical book of Mishima's personal experience. The argument is that only a gay/bisexual man would be able to articulate and depict the gay experience with that level of nuance by drawing upon their own personal experience. To that I say fair enough, but then I would pivot this discussion and bring up the fact that he was married to Yoko Sugiyama, and they had 2 children. To play devil's advocate, historians have made the argument that Mishima, like many other gay men of that time, married a woman in order to hide his own sexuality from those who would ridicule him. Furthermore, people have made the argument his marriage was a byproduct of his internalized homophobia.
Like any bird, I became to be relaxed in my own nest. I needed a wife, and I got married. And the first reason I got married Yoko is because she's an artist's daughter. My father-in-law is a Japanese painter, and she has no imagination at all as for artists. Very important thing. And secondly, of course, I got married her because I was attracted by her. Needless to say, but our married life is still going on relatively peacefully. But sometime during such a peaceful life, we get to see children. Still, the old memory comes to my mind. It is the memory of during the war.
My personal read of his sexuality is that he's either bisexual with general attraction for his wife or bi-curious. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit who he sleeps with. If it's 2 consenting adults, who gives a fuck? The way I see it, the discussion of someone's sexuality isn't too relevant in relation to someone's politics. The only reason I bring this up is to point out the hypocrisy of a man who was a Japanese traditionalist and nationalist having so much circumstantial evidence about their supposed homosexuality. There is nothing wrong with being LGBT, but there is something wrong with your brain if you're a nationalist, fascist, LGBT person, because you should know better. Because historically speaking, right-wing people and nationalists don't treat the gays too well.
Others see his homosexuality somehow vindicated by what appears to have been a lover's suicide with Morita, the younger man who died with him. I personally feel the politics are absolutely crucial. I don't really see how one can regard the suicide of a man in the main military base in Tokyo as anything other than a political gesture.
お待ちどうさま。俺は男だぜ。
どっちでも関係ないね。
Part 6, Memes of the Manlet. Mishima was a seething manlet. When he got married, he requested an arranged marriage just to please his parents. He requested his bride be shorter than him. I love this clip of one of his mates telling a story about when he went to a club with him, and she made the joke about not being able to see him due to his beta soy cuck manlet status. According to her, he got red as a tomato.
私と知り合った頃はね、非常にアグリーな非常に痩せたままでしたけれどね、ある日ね、私新宿のクラブでね、ダンスしようってんで2人でダンスしたことあるんですよ。だからダンスしてる時にね、私は冗談でね、なんかあなたどこ行ったのって言ってね、みんなパッとだらけであなたいないわって言ったんですよ。そしたら彼もいつもね、非常にシニカル皮肉なね、バーナード・ショーみたいな面白い皮肉を言う人だったんでね、それで帰ってくると思ったのね。でそしたらもうすぐ真っ青になって怒ってね、俺は不愉快だ帰るっつってさっと帰っちゃったの。で私その時に初めてね、彼の最大の言ってはならないところはここだったんだなって初めて分かったわけですね。
Now you're probably wondering why I keep taking the piss out of Mishima's height. It's not because I think there's anything intrinsically wrong with being short. Hashtag my short kings and all that. trash, all that nonsense. It's because Mishima was deeply insecure about that fact. For a man who built his worldview and ideology on nationalism and supremacism and fascism, he's not exactly a prime example of a strong Japanese male. I mean, he did work out in the latter half of his life, but his frame and stature were something that, by his own admission, was something that was lacking. Also, according to his personal photographer, Mishima was deeply insecure about his lack of leg muscles, and he highlights the fact that throughout all his artistry and photo ops, you never really saw his calves because Mishima is deeply ashamed about the fact and never wanted the public to see his lack of leg muscles.
三島さんのこの、よく裸になってるんですけども、裸でも全身の写真っていうのは意外とないんですね。それはどうしてかというとね、下半身っていうのは非常に鍛えてもですね、鍛えにくいんですよね。上半身は鍛えやすいんですけど、ですからその下半身は割にこう貧弱になるので、それを撮るときにはですね、このオートバイの写真なんかありますけども、アングルを下から持ってってですね、でこの足を割と太く持って力強く撮るというようなね、そんなこともですね、かなり、僕に対してね要求してきたということもありましたね。
And I don't buy the argument that was just because he only had the body purely designed for seppuku. That is bullshit. The man just skipped leg day, okay? This is gonna sound like a douchey ego thing, but fuck you. This is my YouTube channel. You can suck my dick. I reckon I could hand on my heart, no cap, 100%. I could beat the fuck out of Mishima. Like, man was 5'0". I would dude, I would skull a bottle of proper 12 and I would stomp at his head while he was unconscious. No, bro trained kendo and karate and a little bit of boxing and lifted a bit of weights. Mate, I do MMA and kickboxing and BJJ, alright? Which are better styles comparatively to the aforementioned, alright? It's been proven through science that MMA and BJJ beats traditional karate and boxing every single fucking time, and I'll hear none of it in the comments. Alright, I'm sure there's some extenuating circumstances, but like, let's just take it to the height factor and then the swag factor, and you know, I don't give a fuck about your opinion. You know, good luck committing game over and seppuku when I got you on a fulcrum choke, you little bitch. You beta bitch fascist fuck. I'm going to absolutely maul you. It's going to be a very, very long night for Mishima. I will make him humble. Alhamdulillah. I'm coming to smash your boy. So basically, this YouTube video is, I would like to announce that I'm formally challenging Mishima to a YouTube MMA tournament. Hopefully he can crawl his way out of hell and face me. If he refuses to accept the challenge, I guess I win by default, but, you know... Political YouTube's mixed martial arts champion of the world, that's me. Also, I know I brought it up before, but I'd like to bring it up another time. This guy is so cringe. He was molding at the fact that like white people exist as a concept. You know, your boy is like makes the occasional mayo side meme, which I'm 100% always joking, wink wink, you know, like I like to dabble in, you know, the white genocide memes. But with that said, this bloke was on an absolute like fuck another level. Like, he was sitting around his bougie house clutching his head with hair follicles falling out of his scalp, thinking about like a happy Greek boy walking down the street. I always get accused of being a postmodern anti-white neo-Marxist racist or whatever the fuck, but with that said, this guy was a conservative on a whole nother level. I've never said any of that shit that this guy said, like fucking talking about eating people's livers and shit. What the fuck?
The weapon of my imagination slaughtered many a Grecian soldier, many white slaves of Arabia, princes of savage tribes, hotel elevator boys, waiters, young toughs, army officers, circus roustabouts. I would kiss the lips of those who had fallen to the ground and were still moving spasmodically.
If people online accuse me of being an anti-white, racist mayo-side enthusiast, alright, with all the mayo-side jokes I make, this guy was actually an anti-white racist who wanted mayo-side. Totally unrelated. There's this fucking hilarious clip. I love this clip. It's from Mishima, The Last Debate. It's a really heated point in the movie where this based young leftist calls Mishima out on his bullshit, yelling proudly, "Your nationalist ideology restricts you." And then Mishima, without a moment's hesitation, with the utmost conviction, turns around, looks him dead in the eye, and just goes, "Yes."
時間の恩恵を被って生産関係がずっと我々のところ
むしろ時間が保ち得ないからでしょ、タバコを吸うわけでしょ。
時間というものにその昔の上長良の天皇っていうものの、一つの流れをですね、もう一度再現したいと思ってるわけですよね。
それと自己一体化させたいっていうところに利を見出すわけ。
そうですね。
これは単なるあれですよね、一種のオナニズムだし、イマジと自己の事物に対して何らなすすべないわけです。
日本文化っていうものはだね、そういうものが
あなたはだから日本人であるという限界を超えることはできなくなってしまうということでしょう。
できなくていいんだよ。
いいわけ。もう俺帰るわ。あいつだから。ごめんね。じゃあどうも。
He literally did the Chad Yes meme, like IRL, 50 years before it was invented. Amazing stuff. You want to know from reading his books, but Mishima actually had a fairly killer sense of humor. Like, he's like, yes, I'm a racist. Correct. The balls on this guy. Fuck me. I should try that.
ね、日本人であって日本人として生まれ日本人って言って死んでそれでいいんだ。その限界は全然僕は抜けたいと思わない。僕自身、だからまああんたから見ればかわいそうだと思うだろう。
非常にそれは思いますよね。
しかしやっぱり僕は日本人である以上の日本人以外のものでありたいと思わない。
しかし日本人っていうのはどこに事物としてあるわけですか。
事物としてはね、外国人は分かりますよ。あなたどんなにね、英語喋ってると自分はね、日本人じゃないような気がするんです。英語が多少上手くなると、そして道歩いてるとショーウィンドウにね、姿が映るとこの通り胴長でね、そして鼻もそう高くないし、日本人が歩いてるのは誰だろうって、てめえなんだな。これはどうしてもね、外国行くと痛感する、ね。
人間すら事物にまでいかない限り無理ですよ。
その国籍を脱却することは
脱却っていうよりむしろ最初から国籍はないんであって、
あなたは国籍はないわけだろ。あなたは自由人として僕は尊敬するでいいよね。だけども僕はね、国籍を持って日本人であることを自分では乗っからないと。これは僕自分の宿命であるとも信じてる。
それは一種の関係づけでやられてるわけですね。そう当然歴史にもやられちゃうわけだし、
やられちゃうっていうか、つまり歴史に
むしろいるということに
そういうことに喜びを感じる。
その幻想の中で。
幻想の中で。
カカシ、もういいんだ。お前ももう苦しまなくていい。
Part 7, The Emasculated Cries of Japanese Fascists. On the 25th of November 1970, only 25 years after the bombing of Hiroshima and the fall of the Imperial Army and the end of World War II, Yukio Mishima puts it upon himself to go to a Tokyo army base and kidnaps the local commander, forcing him to assemble the garrison in order to attempt to start a coup on the Japanese government. Mishima, being an outspoken advocate against the time's US policy-driven state, constitution, and form of governance. He admonished the Japanese soldiers for being too submissive and breedable, imploring them to return to the glory of the emperor and reinstate his pre-war position as a living god and a national leader. Because who needs a democratically elected person when you can have someone from an incest bloodline to just make all the decisions? It worked in House of the Dragon, I'm sure it'd work in real life. Initially, the crowd of onlookers were surprisingly quiet. Perhaps they were shocked with the idiocy of the man's statement. From 0 to 100, the crowd rejected his proposal of a coup d'etat, cussing him out with extreme vigor. In one of Mishima's final moments, he took a quiet moment to himself and said the following words: "I don't think they heard me." Following his rejection, he knelt down and killed himself by seppuku, the samurai's ritual suicide. And that's it. And that's the story of Yukio Mishima. A man too cucked with himself, who couldn't take criticism and killed himself. I know, okay, that's a meme. I know it's all about, because he was all about legacy. But anyway, that's Conclusion. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? I'm a big fan of UFC and mixed martial arts as a whole. I did judo around 6 years growing up, and I've recently taken up BJJ, MMA, and kickboxing. I don't say this to brag about being some sort of hard cunt, but to more highlight the reason in which I love the art of fighting, because to me, that's what combat is, an art form. To me, it's not about fitness, it's not about skill, it's not about winning. Undoubtedly, it is all those things. I'm not saying that to take that away from people who feel strongly about the sport for those reasons. To me, it's who, why, and what someone represents, which is most important when entering the octagon. Whether that be Khamzat Chimaev needing to escape poverty and provide for his family, Daniel Cormier's need to make his daughter, who never was, proud, or the ego, fame, and money of McGregor. At the moment, my two favorite fighters are Itsuki Hirata, otherwise known as Android 18, and Yoshihiro Akiyama, otherwise known as Sexyama. Oh my god, fucking look at this guy. This is fucking beautiful. Mate, no wonder they call him Sexy Yama, bro. Oh my god, so sexy. I like Itsuki. She's like a rising star who I know has what it takes to be a world champion. Her duality of being one of the sweetest people on Instagram and the most vicious woman I've seen in the octagon is incredible. But that's enough about Hirata-san. She might get her own video later in the future. Regardless of what you think, what I would really like to highlight today is about Akiyama-san. It isn't his win record nor his incredible technique. Akiyama-san is Japanese, but is also known as what's called a Zainichi Kankokujin, or a Zainichi Korean. A Zainichi Korean refers to Japanese people who have an ethnic Korean background. It's a category that describes the diaspora of ethnic Koreans who have received permanent residency status in Japan or have become Japanese citizens and whose immigration to Japan originated before 1945, and who are descendants of those types of people. Currently, it's estimated around 600,000 ethnic Koreans live in Japan. What really triggers me is the thought that some fuckwit like Callum or Yukio Mishima or whatever other fucking room temperature IQ Japanese ethno-nationalist soy molding at the fact that this man is more Japanese than they will ever be. This man fundamentally represents every Japanese characteristics that they don't. This man goes into the octagon every fucking time, proud to represent his culture, proud of his dual backgrounds, proud to represent Japan, proud to represent Korea, win or loss. Every time, every goddamn time. This man walks into the octagon with his head held high. I'm not saying he's perfect. I know the memes. I think he cheats on his wife or whatever the fuck, which obviously I don't condone or whatever the fuck. But I do like the idea that some Zainichi Korean kid can turn on the TV and see a hard cunt like him that represents his heritage. I think representation like that really matters. There, in my opinion, is nothing more badass and honorable than representing yourself in a controlled combat scenario. If you're a cunt who wants to disparage the bravery of a person like that and people like him on the basis of his background, go fuck yourself, you gutless pissant. Especially if you claim to be Japanese, nobody likes you, you scum. It's just cringe. I personally believe there is incredible value in seeing yourself represented in media.
I wanted to revive some samurai spirit through it, because I don't want to revive harakiri itself, but through the vision of such a very strong vision of harakiri, I wanted to inspire and stimulate younger people. And through such a stimulation, I wanted to revive some old traditional sense of honor, or sense of very strong responsibility, and such a sense of death in honor.
The story of Mishima is a cautionary tale of overzealous revolutionary actions and the dangers of extremist ideologies. It's a story of supposed political posturing turned violent. I love this quote from the little man himself. Even if I'm not immediately understood, it's okay because I'll be understood by Japan in 50 or 100 years' time. It takes less than 3 seconds to completely dismantle this dumbfuck line of thinking. Well, you see, officer, I'm just misunderstood. I did kill and rape all those women and children, but you see, future generations of Aussies will actually acknowledge my actions as morally just. Like, you see how stupid that logic is? You can literally justify any horrendous acts with that train of logic. Who the fuck do you think you are, Thanos, my guy? Debate me, bro. Come on, come at me on Twitter, Mishima. Bro, I bet you're not even verified. Neither am I. I dare you. Let's do a live stream. Let's do it. Let's get into Discord and just fucking abuse each other. Let's call each other the N-word. I'll destroy you with facts and logic, my guy. The actions and ideology of Mishima, I personally find are reprehensible. With that said, I also think that Mishima is an extremely talented individual. I think there is value in his works. In fact, I hate to admit it, man, he's a fucking genius. He knows how to fucking write a mean book. In preparation for this video, I read a few books. By read, I mean I read a couple of chapters, then gave up and listened to the audiobooks. Fuck your lot, it still fucking counts. I'm a zoomer, my fucking ADHD rattled brain can't commit to a task longer than a fucking TikTok video without malfunctioning, so you know, there is that. Mishima, unlike the right-wing people of today, is not a pussy, which is very unusual for rightoids. I mean, he lived and quite literally died by what he believed in. Too bad what he believed in was absolute nonsense, but fuck. You can't say that most political grifters nowadays would literally die for what they believe in. In Mishima's infamous debate, he eloquently put it, left wing or right wing, I am not I am pro-violence.
私はつい最近もある自民党の政治家から頼まれて暴力反対決議というのをやるから、署名をしてくれっていう。私は生まれたから一度も暴力に反対したことがないから署名ができませんと返答した。私は右だろうが左だろうが暴力に反対したことなんか一度もない。諸君もとにかく日本の権力構造体制の目の中に不安を見たいに違いない。私も実は見たい。別の方向から見たいんだ。私は安心している人間が嫌いなんで。実はこんなところで、私が無事にこんなことしてられた状況あんまり好きじゃない。側分しますところによりますと、これはなんか100円以上のカンパを出して集まっているそうですが、私は図らずも諸君のカンパのこの資金集めに協力していることになるんですから。私はこういうような政治的状況好きじゃない。できればそのカンパの半分をもらってって私の縦の会に突っ込みたい。
And goddamn, he was pro-violence, not just the coup d'etat thing. Mishima wanted Japan to be nuclear armed. I know, Japan of all countries. This incredibly smooth brain. How smooth does the brain have to be to honestly believe that Japan having nuclear weapons is a good idea? The average tattooed akai member's brain looks like fucking tofu. Just absolutely no wrinkles, just fucking smooth, soft, fucking flat. It's like it looks like a fucking square. Japan as a country knows all too well the destruction caused by atomic weaponry. Let's be real, the generational trauma of an event like that is not going away anytime soon. But Mishima is too busy getting hard thinking about all the pain he can cause to young white Greek kids by nuking them and dabbing on their charred corpses. The racist fuckwit. Mishima talks a lot about younger leftists of his era were misguided and immature for not thinking about their future.
They're living at just the present moment, and they never think about future, they never think about past, and they're always jumping and jumping from moment to moment, you see.
Well, do you think they're going to find a purpose?
I hope so. And it is also my program, my own program.
How the fuck can you speak about maturity when you're the guy who was a little cowardly bitch who was afraid of getting old, so fucking killed himself? I understand why he did it, but honestly, come on, what the fuck is that shit? I know the whole point of him killing himself was like cementing his legacy or whatever, because he was afraid about dying, because he was like, oh, I'm so buff and fucking yoked now, I'm gonna die beautiful and young. Oh, fucking cringe.
When at last I came to own such a body, I wanted to display it to everyone, to show it off and let it move in front of every eye, just like a child with a new toy. My body became for me like a fashionable sports car for its proud owner. In it, I drove on many highways to new places. Views I had never seen before opened up for me and enriched my experience. But the body is doomed to decay, just like the complicated motor of a car. I, for one, will not accept such a doom. This means that I do not accept the course of nature. I know I am going against nature. I know I have forced my body onto the most destructive path of all.
In the book Patriotism, his first overtly political book he wrote the main character as a self-insert for his beliefs. Ironically, you can see the seeds of his future actions reflected in this novel. For those who don't know, the narrative of Patriotism is about like a young kendo boy who tries a coup d'etat, fails, and commits seppuku. That sounds a bit familiar? Let me remind you of the fact that he wrote that book, he adapted it to film, then starred in the film as his own self-insert character that he had written, then tried to do the same thing in real life. Like, that is like a whole new level of fucking cringe. Like, there's like LARPing as your political ideology, and then there's fucking LARPing as your political ideology. Like, fucking hell. Bro, that's what the tankies need to do next. Like, they're like cosplaying as fucking like Stalin and shit. They need to start causing famines in their own fucking life. What's his fucking name? What's that fucking Burger King or whatever the fuck? Yo, he's gonna start a famine soon. Like, what's his name? Oh, fuck, what's his, that Ranger cunt? What's his fucking name? Oh god, what's he fucking called? Mulpin? What's his fucking name? Something Mulpin. Fucking Ranger Mulpin or whatever the fuck he's called. I don't fucking remember, but yeah, fuck.
Burger King.
Mishima, well, yes, unfortunately, he was a right-winger, so his brain was rotten. With that said, I don't think we should write off everything he says as absolute garbage. Mishima, well, yes, terrible opinions, horrible actions, I also truly think he is a fucking genius. I genuinely see value in his works. As someone who loves the gym and loves martial arts, I found Sun and Steel incredibly insightful and helpful for understanding the philosophy for why people are drawn to martial arts, bodybuilding, and why people are drawn to Japanese fascism, and why someone like him is this fucking stupid. Furthermore, I genuinely believe Mishima's politics were not all garbage. Mishima talks about issues in relation to Japanese capitalism, that being Japanese people's reverence for material being one of the biggest threats to Japanese society, which I very much agree with and truly think is based as shit.
I think economical prosperity gives some bored feeling already, and it gave a big, huge spiritual vacuum and unbearable boredom, particularly among intellectuals. But I think not only intellectual, but also among younger generations and half of populace, I think. And at the present situation, we are never satisfied, we are never contented. And we cannot believe such an economic prosperity, what it means. And we had, long tradition of samurai. They lived for the honor and the spirit, and they despise and look down any money.
Like, a lot of the stuff he talks about is more relevant today than it was back in his era, and he kind of predicted a lot of things on that one there. Obviously separate art from the artist or whatever, and obviously his final actions and political beliefs are reprehensible and disgusting. He is a very interesting man to listen to, and his art is, I hate to say it, his art is pretty good. Like, you don't get in name contention for a Nobel Prize without having at least something good to say. Let's address the elephant in the room, the kidnapping, attempting the coup, and the ritualistic suicide. I refuse to believe Mishima was dumb enough to believe his final plan would actually work. I refuse to believe he was that high on copium. Don't get me wrong, there is a very possible alternative timeline where his coup d'etat worked and the world looks like a very, very bad place. My personal interpretation of Mishima's final actions are, in my opinion, nothing more than a narcissistic, self-indulgent act to keep his name alive within the annals of history, to cement his legacy as the fascist Japanese political martyr, to be revered and worshipped for years to come. And that is very substantiated by historians. I think I can substantiate the argument with the evidence of Mishima's final suicide note: human life is limited, but I will live forever. And you know what? God fucking damn it, it worked. He was fucking successful, and it pisses me the fuck off. If it wasn't for his final act, I wouldn't know or give a fuck. I wouldn't spend fucking 2 years reading all his fucking books to make this fucking video. With that said, we still get the last laugh and the final W at the end. Okay. This is... I'm just gonna put a content warning here. If like suicide and like people making jokes about suicide you find that insensitive, just like skip to this part here. I'm gonna be cracking some mad jokes on this one about this, and I know that's not for everyone's taste, but anyway.
Alright, let's fucking do this. Let's do this fucking thing. Bro. Oh my god, I look like fucking shit, dude. Alright, I'm hungover as shit right now. It's the fucking perfect time to do this. Just give me a second. I'm currently Zach. I need to get into character. I've got to become the pixel hipster. I'm transforming into my alter ego. There he is. There he is. There's the pixel hipster. There's my alter ego. Anyway, I'm gonna just explain seppuku and hitokiriii. Like I'm gonna do a diagram, like a physical demonstration on how to do a seppuku or a hitokiriii. I was talking to my mom about this, and this might be in poor taste, but I do think it's very, very, very funny. So I will be cracking jokes about suicide, so fucking heads up. Alright. So basically, hitokiriii and seppuku ostensibly are the same thing, right? So, there's fucking birds in the background. I'm sorry about this. So basically, how you do a traditional seppuku is you just do that, and then you gotta find the vital organ, you gotta line it up on that one there. Sorry, I don't have a samurai fucking thing or a kimono or all that bullshit. I was gonna wear one, but evidently I fucking didn't have one, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna use my jiu-jitsu gear. But the point is, you're meant to open it up here, expose your fucking belly right there, put your 2 fingers in, organize it. Usually there's a piece of like a cloth or some fucking bullshit that you have here, and then you're meant to put it in, right? And then, so that's the seppuku. And then the hitokiriii, which is part of the seppuku, is... Now the hitokiriii is ostensibly known as like the mercy kill. So after they've done the seppuku, the other person does the hitokiriii. So the hitokiriii is done, right? And then they cut off your head. So ostensibly, you probably get the idea of the meme. So the meme is for a seppuku and a hitokiriii to go fucking smoothly. Alright, you gotta fucking open it up here, put it in deeply, you say your final samurai fucking goodbyes or whatever the fuck. And then then your fucking colleague, as you're doing this, you're going to, just imagine I'm on my knees. I'm standing up, but I'm meant to be on my fucking knees. Okay, on this one here. You know what? I'm gonna do it on my fucking knees. Hold up. Let me just lower the fucking camera. And just move it that way. Alright. I think it makes more sense if I'm on my fucking feet like this. Alright, here we go. So you get it up like this. You gotta line it up, put it in, deep it down. Good night, game over. And then, as that's happening there, then your mate's gotta cut off your head. Anyway, that's how you do it. Congratulations, that is seppuku 101. That is fucking ritualistic samurai suicide. Congratulations. Don't do it, alright? This is a demonstration. This is not meant to be done. Anyway, now for the jokes. Alright. So basically that's what fucking Mishima did. That's how he killed himself. But the thing about that, right? Seppuku is a very, very difficult thing, and like no one's done it in years. Like Mishima, I think, is like the last recorded person in history to ever do a hitokiriii or a seppuku. I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly confident about that. But he fucked it up. Like he really fucked it up. So according to like eyewitness testimony at the time, the whole point of doing a seppuku is that you're meant to do it all in one go, right? And it has to be a seamless task. Apparently, when Mishima was here, his colleague Moriata fucking was meant to cut off his head, but I think Moriata is a fucking retard, right? So he failed. So when Moriata went to go cut off his head, he fucking missed and he like hit the back of the neck. So instead of actually decapitating Mishima, he fucking like got halfway through. According to eyewitness testimony, they fucked it so badly, he got hit in the neck 3 times before his head, and he wasn't able to get his head decapitated properly on the hitokiriii. So his mate had to come through, and the other guy who was there had to finish off the job. I just like to think that like, because this whole thing about Mishima is like, he fucking wanted to die young, he wanted to die in his prime, he wanted to martyr himself or whatever. And it's like, he's sitting there and he's like, yes, this is my final moment. I'm finally about to fulfill my destiny and can submit myself. And then as he does the seppuku, and then here comes fucking Moriata to take his fucking head off. Like, Moriata just fucking botches it. And he's just looking up at him, bleeding, because it's not an instant death. Like, he just absolutely fucked it. Anyway, like imagine that. Like, imagine your final moments just being in just absolute excruciating pain. Because if you get your head cut off, like, that's fairly quick, you know. That's you're done, right? But man, he got hit 4 times on the fucking neck. Like 1, and then 2, and 3, and then literally, like, Moriata was so bad at cutting off Mishima's head. Like the other guy had to step in and be like, oh, and like had to finish the job because I guess Moriata just fucked it. Mishima's just sitting there, like, multiple gashes in the neck, looking up at Moriata going, what the fuck are you doing, bro? This is my moment and you're ruining. That poor guy. Poor fucking guy, man. Look, I usually do a joke about someone killing themselves, but like, considering the circumstances, it is kind of funny that he did fuck it up that badly at the very end. So, that is how fucking, yeah. So that's what happened when Mishima died. So good times, man.
If you take anything away from this video, is that people aren't radicalized in a day. I think in politics, and this goes across the entire political spectrum, we have a problem with dehumanizing people and not understanding why people get to extremist ideologies. Whether that be fucking commies fucking shitting on fucking fascists, or fucking libs shitting on commies, or libs shitting on fucking fascists, and fucking back up, who gives a fuck. Whether that be nationalism, communism, fascism, deadbeat dadism, the other isms, we can point and laugh at these people as much as you want, but that won't really fix anything. If you don't understand the causal effect to why people end up believing what they believe, whether or not you think Mishima was based or not, I don't give a shit. I have my own personal conjecture. I think he's a fuckwit. If you don't speak to these people who have bad takes and actually understand and engage with their arguments, nothing is really going to stop people like Mishima doing crazy shit like this in the future. Ridiculing a person's ideology can be optically useful, but ridiculing a person's political ideology without dismantling the arguments and offering an alternative is political suicide. Thank you for watching this video, and as the molding manlet fascist once said, living is merely the chaos of existence.
Welcome
to the end of the video. I'm sorry I've been fucking gone for fucking, it feels like 2 years. Believe it or not, in that 2 years, I haven't not been like just procrastinating. I've just been working on this fucking thing. It's retarded. This video took too long to make, and I want to kill myself. All right, like and subscribe, please. It really, if you can like the video and like if you like the video, that'll be based, and like share it and shit, that'll be cool, you know. Like these things take a long time, and like if like, you know, I need it shared and shit. I don't fucking know. Anyway, thank you, love you all. I'm so exhausted from making this thing. Nick, you know, ironically enough, in the previous video, I said I was gonna make a shorter video next because the previous video took like also another year to make. And it's fucking hard because I'm working full time and fucking jiu-jitsu and all this other shit to fucking make YouTube videos, even though I fucking love making YouTube videos. Yeah, love you guys. Sorry to my patrons who've like mostly left. That's fine. Like, as long as you give me money, your name will fucking appear in the credits. Like, you don't have to constantly give money, especially if I'm not making fucking content like that. That's totally understandable. I don't fucking know. Like the video. That's so cringe. Like the video, subscribe. Please share it, like, unironically. Alright, fuck off. Yep. If you've sat all the way to the end and you're listening to this, like, I don't know what's fucking wrong with you, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, like, bro. The video's done. This thing, how the fuck that fuck? Alright, let's fucking do this. Let's fucking do this. Let's do this fucking meme. Bro. Oh my god, I look like fucking shit, dude. Alright, I'm hungover as shit right now. It's the fucking perfect time to do this. Just give me a second. I'm currently Zach. I need to get into character. I've got to become the pixel hipster. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. Alright, wait. I'm transforming. I'm transforming into my alter ego. There he is. There he is. There he is. There's the pixel hipster. There's my alter ego. Anyway, rightio. What was I fucking up to? Okay.